and welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness TV, episode number 463, recorded August 23rd, 2024. Join me, Professor Mac Jackson Jr., as we navigate the digital landscape, gear up for a thrilling ride through the cybersecurity tips and news to gain expert knowledge and become a cybersecurity champion. Remember to share, like, and subscribe to stay ahead of the cyber defenses and make you more alert of what's going on. You can visit us at MacJacksonJr.com. That's MacJacksonJr.com for more information. In today's episode, folks, we are going to talk about the largest Social Security data breach in U.S. history. That's right, folks. The largest Social Security breach in U.S. history happened a couple weeks ago, where everybody here in the U.S., over 2 billion Social Security numbers and personal identifiable information was stolen. We'll talk about that today, folks. We'll be right back at you after these messages. Hello, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. from Vanderson Cyber Group. The problem with businesses today is that they are affected by cyber attacks from around the world, but companies are not sure of what to do. Normally, they are reactive instead of proactive. But folks, cyber attacks can affect your bottom line, and it will affect you financially, legally, and your business reputation. Here at Vanderson Cyber Group, we can help you develop a policy by training your employees on what to do if they are involved in a cyber attack and how to mitigate it and fight against it. Folks, we call it here #StayCyberWoke. And that's Vanderson Cyber Group here in Las Vegas and around the world. You can reach me, folks, at VandersonCyberGroup.com or my website, MacJacksonJr.com as well. Here locally, 702-868-0808. Give us a call today, folks. We must fight back. Hi, folks. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. This week, again, we're going to discuss the largest data breach in U.S. history, folks. This episode we're going to dive into this week has to deal with an alarming cybersecurity issue that could impact every American. The recent lawsuits claiming hackers may have successfully stolen Social Security numbers of the entire United States population. That sounds incredible, but absolutely, that's what the evidence is showing. This development has raised a huge concern about the massive vulnerabilities in government and corporate data protection practices, and it highlights the increasingly sophistication tactics of cyber criminals, how they use to exploit data. So basically what we're saying, folks, here is that there was a data breach that happened with a company called NPT, National Protection Data, and this company provides background checks on individuals, right? So the individuals that have had background checks provided against them over the last few years, their information, along with all the rest of people, have been stolen. What this company does, they are connected to other databases from data brokers as well, and that information was harnessed and captured by cyber criminals and exploited on the darknet for ransom. They wanted over millions of dollars for this data back. And so the investigation of this, everybody's on high alert as far as the cybersecurity community, working with law enforcement to find out how this happened and to redress it. So in this episode, we will explore these cases and potential consequences for the nation and how this alleged data breach have rippled through the financial, legal, and privacy systems of our country. More importantly, we will discuss here the steps that individuals, businesses, and institutions should take to protect themselves and prepare for future attacks like this or anything that could happen to them based upon this. To continue with this story, I'll start with a story that we got from NBC News, folks. Check out the story. We'll be right back afterwards.
Tonight, fears a massive data breach may have impacted billions of people across the globe, according to a new class action lawsuit. which means Social Security numbers and other sensitive information could now be up for sale on the dark web. So how did this happen? A company called Jericho Pictures, which operates as National Public Data, is a Florida-based background check company. NPD takes data from public record databases, national and state databases, and court records. It then sells that data to a range of organizations like background check websites, investigators, app developers, and data resellers. According to the lawsuit, in April of this year, a hacking group called USDOD breached NPD's systems and stole private information. The suit goes on to say in a post on the dark web on April 8th, USDOD claimed they stole 2.9 billion records of personal data and were trying to sell them for $3.5 million. That personal data includes names, address histories, relatives, and Social Security numbers. In a statement on their website, NPD acknowledges the breach and says, "We cooperated with law enforcement and governmental investigators and have implemented additional security measures. We reached out to NPD, but did not hear back." Since the information was posted for sale in April, other hackers have released different copies of the data, including a hacker known as Finis, who posted the most complete version for free in August, according to cybersecurity news site Bleeping Computer. Some good news, the database does not contain information from individuals who use opt-out services, according to the lawsuit.
This year has just been the year of the hackers.
But people on social media still panicking.
Biggest data breach possibly in human history.
As many fear their private data is up for sale.
All right, for more on this concerning data breach and what it means for you, I want to bring in cybersecurity expert David Kennedy. David, thank you so much for joining us on this. This is huge. 2.9 billion records were in fact breached. Help us put this into context. And does that actually mean, if we're talking about Social Security numbers, for instance, 2.9 billion Social Security numbers were in fact leaked?
We don't know fully if it's 2.9 billion individual records or if these are multiple reports. Now, this is a background checking company that basically looks at, making sure you don't have a record if you go to a job employment, but they have access to all of these national databases that can pull information on any U.S. citizen. And there's hundreds, if not thousands, of these organizations, background check facilities, companies around the country. And with the 2.9 billion, that number may dwindle a little bit, but it's not going to be substantially lower than that. We can pretty much assume that this is the largest data breach we've ever seen around Social Security numbers in the history. I mean, I was impacted by OPM, which was the big data breach around classified, top secret folks that are contractors or folks that were in the military. I was part of that as well. This pales in comparison to that. This is a much larger data breach.
So you have people at home right now saying, is it me? Am I one of them? How do you find out if, in fact, you are one of them? And if you find out you are, what do you do?
There's a class action lawsuit out right now for this particular area, and there's information being basically set up so you can actually go and check. It's not fully up and operational yet for checking. But I mean, I would assume, 2.9 billion people, there's a good chance that you're going to be on there. I mean, I would say statistically, it's going to be in the upward of 90 percentile of U.S. citizens that are probably impacted by this. So you should assume that your Social Security number is now compromised and breached, unfortunately.
Wow, that is incredible. We reported that some people were actually safe because they took extra steps like opting out services. What are other things that people can do to protect themselves from future breaches?
Two things that are really important to note is that, Social Security numbers in general are such a legacy piece of data. We need to move to more of a digital format, and the government really needs to be pushing for more digital ways of identifying individuals that are unique to an individual. Social Security numbers were never designed to be a security mechanism. I mean, they were designed in like the 50s and 40s. And I think a lot has changed since then around technology. So we need to do a better job around Social Security numbers and how we actually protect people's personal information. What you can do, though, my number one recommendation, and this is regardless of a data breach or not, is go to the three major credit bureaus, so Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, and lock your credit in those. And what happens is you just go to their website, you call them up, and they'll lock your credit. And what that means is that when you go to take out a loan or you're looking at a new credit card or something like that, you have to call and you have to answer a few questions specific about yourself that you would only know. And it's very difficult for hackers to get around that. So it locks your credit in place. And that's one of the most protective features you can actually do.
That is a great tip and something I'm likely going to do after this
Takes
broadcast.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
And folks, as you could see, it's really interesting how this particular data breach happened. This is something that we've talked about on our show, and other cybersecurity professionals around the world have talked about. It's not a matter of if it happened, but when, and how are we prepared for it. So as it states in our report, one of the major things that you could do to protect yourself from this is, again, freeze your credit. We're going to say that over and over again through this episode. All three credit reporting agencies, from Experian to Equifax, TransUnion, it is free and it only takes a few minutes. Go in and freeze your credit. That means that your Social Security number is ever used, they won't get clearance from it because that number has been frozen, and only you yourself can unfreeze can unfrozen your account if you have to have additional credit that you're applying for a car or a house or something. So make sure you do that before you apply. As always, folks, our mission is to help you understand the evolving world of cybersecurity and the threats that happen, and how you can stay informed and prepared for this. So we definitely want you to stay tuned for any breaking facts or news we have regarding this lawsuit, like others, relating to cybersecurity and cyber threats that can affect you, your business, and your family. If there's any more time to look at this data, the time is now, folks, to be prepared. I have another video I'd like for you to take a look at. Then we're going to go into a discussion of data brokers and what that means to you. Here's my report from News 89 out of WROC.
A new lawsuit filed in a Florida court is claiming hackers have gained access to the personal information of billions of individuals, including their Social Security numbers. The suit claims that a hacker group got into a company called National Public Data. Dan Gross caught up with a cybersecurity expert on what you can do to protect your data at this point.
Millions of Social Security numbers could be at risk. That's the claim from a lawsuit filed in a federal court. The suit alleged that hackers from a group called US DOD hacked into a company called National Public Data. Reportedly, when the group tried to ransom the data that they stole for $3.5 million, no one paid, and the information was then leaked on the dark web. Neither the company or the Social Security Administration has commented so far. But local cybersecurity expert Paul Robinson says that if what the suit alleges is true, it would fit into a new pattern that he's seeing. In the past 18 months, he says, there has been more one-upsmanship between hacker groups, all of them trying to get more information to carry out more sophisticated attacks. Robinson says, unfortunately, this is part of the current internet age that we are in, and people need to be more cognizant of how they share their data online, adding,
run a credit report on yourself, or consider freezing your credit until you have to make a major purchase, checking your bank account information, checking your healthcare records and information and things like that. And I know it sounds like a pain up front to do, and in theory it might take 60, 90 minutes to do these things, but if you do these things, then you're not having a surprise on the back end,
He adds that it's also important for parents to run credit checks on their kids as well. He says that hackers don't care what age their victims are. Reporting, Dan Gross, News 8.
So folks, like we were saying, this data breach was huge and affects, again, all of us. It's like we're becoming complacent, right? We anticipate that, well, I guess our data is out there and everybody has it. Well, we have to do more than that, folks. We have to take responsibility to our own and protect our data. So there's some things that we're going to talk about here on how this information gets spread. For one, I'm going to focus again on these groups called, or the industry that is called, data brokers. And what data brokers are, they are legal, I call them legal hackers, but they're advertising agencies that have huge databases, information compiled using data mining regarding all of us. They'll have information on the high school you went to, where you lived when you were 8 years old, your parents' phone number, all your siblings. You may have noticed sites like peoplefinder.com. These sites here are data brokers. Now, they sell this information that they compile about all of American citizens to other advertising agencies, and advertising agencies use it to sell, to try to get us to buy products and services, right? And that's so far, and that's legal. But the problem is, a lot of times these data brokers will sell our information to hacking groups. These hacking groups will then combine the data they got legally from data brokers, again, with the data that they stole, creating this profile of the individual person where they can use to hack against us. That's why it's important for us to stay vigilant of our credit, of our personal identifiable information. So what is sold? Well, information about you, personal identifiable information. What I mean by that, folks, anything from your driver's license number to your address, your phone number, your VIN number of your car, your passport, all this is personal identifiable information. I talked to a client this week. I want to share this with you. A client this week that was really under distress because of this particular situation. She contacted me because she got a phone call from a person on the phone that she thought was her bank. And they were saying that they were going to send her a link and she needed to update her account because there was possible breach on her checking account. And that's interesting. So she got a phone call from someone on the phone claiming to be her bank, stating that they're going to send a text message to her phone where she can click on it to make sure that the information on her account is correct. Now, again, we've talked about that. This type of social engineering technique on our show for years. This is a technique called smushing, and it uses SMS messaging. But also they're brazen enough to also have a phone call involved into this as well. Rather than sending her an email where she would click on, she knows better, and all of us know better not to click on emails from our banks that we're not sure about. But now they're using SMS messages, and they're having a conversation with her at the same time. Anyway, she clicks on the link, and they want to download software on her phone. And unfortunately, she did it. After she did it, she realizes it was a mistake. And they're saying, well, hold on, don't hang up yet. You didn't make a mistake. We're needing to fix your account. And she goes, no, I have to hang up. No, don't hang up right now. Her bank is telling her not to hang up. So anyways, she was so distraught, she hung up the phone, talked to her husband. They called the bank, and the hackers were able to change her email address and her address on her account. Fortunately, they reacted quickly, and so did the bank, and locked down the account where the criminals and the hackers weren't able to steal her finances. But let me tell you about the physical duress that she'd gone through. When she contacted me, and her husband called me from the hospital. She was admitted to our local hospital from distress because of this type of attack. So she was physically just totally exhausted from this. The stress was absolutely incredible. That's what these hackers, they don't care about any of that. They're just looking to steal your money. So what I did, met with her and her husband and her family, and we're coming up with a plan. And the plan is to have everybody in their family understand their roles and responsibilities when it comes to these types of attacks. We're talking about ways that they can protect themselves. If you'd like to find out more about that, definitely contact me as well. And I'll talk about that towards the end of my show, how to do that. But back to this client. She's really a good person and a great family, just like all of us who are trying to live the American dream, have money in our financial institutions, and we want to have it protected. Well, the good news is that the hackers weren't able to steal her money, but if we would have given them another 30 minutes or so, they could have done that. But fortunately, the bank was on it as well. So it just tells us what we need to do to protect ourselves. And we're going to discuss some of those techniques. Folks, I want you guys to remember, before we go into our commercial here, that cybersecurity criminals are always looking for ways to extort and exploit individuals for your data. And what we do here in our show is talk about ways to protect yourselves from these type of threats. And we'll go over those type of threats after these messages. We'll be right back.
Introducing CS Now Staffing, led by yours truly, Laura Nowlin. As the founder and president, I bring over 17 years of expertise in sourcing for talent, building winning teams of professionals, marketing, and workforce development. At CS Now Staffing, we're not just a staffing agency. We're your strategic partner in building a winning team of professionals for your business. My passion for community service extends to connecting entrepreneurs with local resources. Recognized by the Small Business Administration as the 2022 Nevada Family-Owned Business of the Year, we're not just changing the workforce landscape, we're defining it.
Hey folks, welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. And in this episode, folks, we talked about the Social Security number data breach and identity theft, folks, that could lead to one of the largest, if not the largest, attack on information in U.S. history as of today. Tomorrow there'll be another story that we could share with you that these hackers are coming with, but we have to make it harder for them to get our data. And in this segment, this is what we're going to talk about. So what does that mean to you, the individual? Well, in today's digital age, these threats of cyber attacks are looming largely around the businesses and information that businesses have and maintain. However, businesses are training their employees to watch out for phishing emails and to be resilient. Well, hackers are going after individuals because they are the ones who are not taking this seriously, things that are going on. And you need to be able to educate your employees that this issue is not just a job-related issue, but it's also a personal-related issue for your family and your kids at home as well. These hackers are looking for information. One of my students came up with a meme for social media, and they call it "Data is the new gold." Data is the new gold. And that's a really interesting meme, folks. It really is, because that means that your information is gold when it comes to hackers, because they could take it and sell it over and over again. But if they stole $1 from you or robbed you for $100, that only spends once. But if they stole your personal information, they can resell it over and over again, the bad guys that want to scam you for additional information and for your data assets. So things you do to protect yourself. One is that we talked about in this episode is to make sure that you freeze your Social Security number. But folks, not just your Social Security number, but also the Social Security number of all of your friends and their children. I'm talking about your young kids, like 3 years old. Absolutely. You go into 3 credit reporting agencies I mentioned, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, and you freeze their Social Security numbers. It takes only minutes to do. We need to do that. Everybody in the U.S. needs to do that and make it harder for hackers to get your data. Next, you need to make sure you have every update on your equipment, on your cell phone, your smartphone, are all up to date, the latest software from the manufacturers that you have set up to protect yourselves. Be very suspicious. Matter of fact, a better way of saying it, trust no one. Zero trust. Like one of our producers said, if someone wants you to give information on the phone, you say no. You send me a snail mail or you send me an email, a way to verify it. If they call you on the phone stating that they're your bank and they want information from you and they want you to present yourself with a security code, you tell them I'll call you back. I had another client that told me when they got a phone call like this from allegedly of a bank, the bank didn't ask them for a security question. That's kind of interesting. So she immediately said to them, oh, by the way, you forgot to ask me a security question. And then, of course, casually the person on the phone was like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to do that. Yes, can you give us your security code, please? Knowing that whatever you say, they're going to assume it's your security code. So she said Jaguar. And they said, okay, great. That's correct. And she says, really? Well, now we're hanging up because it was not Jaguar. That tells you that it was a fraud call. Call the bank or financial institution back and talk to them directly. You have their number. Now, they again will then ask you all the authenticating questions that you need to make sure that it's you and you make sure that it's them. These are just little precautions, folks, we need to protect ourselves. There's a lot more, and I'd like to spend some time with you to discuss it for your business and individual as well. You could find out more with a phone call from me, and we can discuss this on a Zoom call or from a personal one-to-one meeting at your business or office. Go to my website, folks, and that's at macjacksonjr.com. That's macjacksonjr.com, folks. Remember, you can find me on YouTube as well. You can subscribe, like, our show, my show here, and also all the shows on WWDBTV as well. Remember, my company is also Vanderson Cyber Group. That's my umbrella company. That's where we go in and provide policies and procedures for your business. You can find out more information again by going to my website at macjacksonjr.com or vandersoncybergroup.com, folks. We have to stay vigilant. Like we say every week on our show here at Cybersecurity Awareness TV, hashtag stay cyberwoke, folks. We will see you next week. Take care.